So what do you think, Rick?
Al, who would have thought that a video like this would have spawned a show about helping people with Purpose Positive? You know, Purpose Positive is something that everybody needs. A lot of times they're using these principles inadvertently and not even realizing it, but we realize that everybody needs it in some way or another in their lives. Brent, tell us a little bit about what Purpose Positive encompasses.
Well, you know, we've talked a little bit about it. You know, it's around that concept of neuroplasticity where, you know, the brain and the mind are at war. Most people don't realize that. You know, the brain's sitting there to basically help you survive, but it basically holds you back a lot of times from what your mind wants to do and all the aspirations that you have. And we all have baggage, you know, and so we've got unforgiveness, we've got shame, we've got all kinds of things that just always hold us back. And so Purpose Positive, as we've worked on it, is basically to get people to clear up that blockage, get them back where they want to, start to get to where their mind is, where their mind wants them to be, and to have a positive experience. And so, you know, we need to rewire that brain first and foremost, but you have to acknowledge that you got to rewire it. Secondly, you got to do that with a positive attitude. You can't rewire something with a negative attitude. You got to be positive. And then one of the things we think about jump starting is basically giving. And so, you know, when sometimes you're having a hard time rewiring your brain and you can't be positive because you just have some of those bumps in the road like we all do, right. You know, if you start thinking outside of yourself and you start giving, that jump starts being positive, and being positive jump starts basically rewiring that brain towards success and accomplishing the goals that you have.
Then putting the past behind us, even though we may remember it, we don't let it affect us in a way that we can't live a productive life.
Well, absolutely, and that's why we got, after Purpose Positive, we'll be dealing with Focus Forward and then Living Life. And if you think about it, that's the sequence we have, is we got to rewire our brains, we got to be positive, and once we've done that, then we can start to purpose on focusing forward. And if we can do that and let the stuff that's happened to us in the past that's bad, just throw it away, right. Put it in a box, then we can get out there and live life the way it was meant to be lived.
You know, there's a lot of groups of people in this, but one group in particular that we're going to focus on today are the returning vets from Afghanistan. We've got some courageous young men and women from all the wars and people that have sacrificed a lot and everything. We're going to focus on one guy today that's using these principles not only to help his own life, but to help the lives of others. His name's James McKendry. Probably one of the nicest, the most courageous, dynamic, charismatic young men that you've ever met. We're going to talk to him a little bit in our show today about how he's using these principles. Sasha, you're in the military. Tell us a little bit about how these guys are affected by coming back from the war.
Absolutely. When I was in the military, I didn't go through the conflict that they are going through right now, or just finished going through. But I do understand when they come back, not knowing what to do with themselves and not knowing what's there to help them. So, like you said, we are working with them to help them put that behind them and coming up with the things that they need to do, or helping them figure out within themselves what they need to do to move forward. And I think that's how we can help.
Well, I think that's really key too. You think of it, Sasha, these guys go out there and they're going to put their lives on the line for us to be a free country. And I don't know that there's anything more admirable than that. And yet when they go, they've heard about past stories, whether it was World War II, Vietnam, or something like that, where people, they're looked at a little bit different. We want to erase that fear. We want to give them the program with James and others, right, to where they know that when they come in here, that there's a program, Purpose Positive, focusing forward and living life, that we can help them and tell them thank you in the very best way we can with what we want to do, and make sure that their life is as full as it should be for basically serving our country.
Absolutely. Well, we're the show to do it. Good to do it, guys.
I'm on the way to meet James McKendry today. I've known James ever since he was in high school, when he first started taking martial arts from me. And he's a very cool, special kind of person. I mean, he has that quality of just being able to touch someone in a positive way.
He is. He's a great guy. I like being around him. It'll be interesting to see what he has to say.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to shed a lot of light on what it's like to be in combat over there and what it's like to come home.
I'm looking forward to it.
How goes it?
Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you.
Thanks for coming today, James.
Yeah, you bet.
We want to talk to you a little bit today about your experience over in Afghanistan. Talk a little bit about what it's like to be a Marine vet, some of the things that have gone on over there, some of the things that are going on in your life now. Tell us a little bit about your early background, even as a child and growing up, and some of your fears, doubts, some of the training that you did that led you to become a Marine.
Okay. Well, you know, the ironic thing is when I graduated high school and up through, you know, people ask me, well, you can join the military, you can join the military. And I said, well, no, I'm not going to. That's not part of my plan, you know, and everything. And it's like they say, you know, if you want to see God laugh, go ahead and make a plan for your life. And so at any rate, I graduated high school and 9/11 happened. And of course, things changed. But in terms of my childhood, I had a lot of military background through my grandfather, who was in the Army Air Corps in World War II, came ashore on D-Day, liberated the concentration camps, did a lot of things there. And so growing up hearing his stories gave me that appreciation for the military service. Had two great uncles serving in the Pacific. One was a POW for 4 years, survived Japanese prisoner of war camp. And hearing their stories, just gave me that appreciation for the military, and there was that utmost respect. But because of, and not because of how I was raised, I had phenomenal parents who, unconditional love and a constant positive reinforcement. They were just phenomenal. But there, somewhere along there, I stopped believing in me, and I wasn't confident in me. I wasn't confident in myself enough to, I was very insecure. And so trying to envision myself in the military was very difficult to do, trying to, throughout high school I played football, but I was by no means a star football player. I rode the sidelines, and really small, smaller than most of my peers. And so getting out on the field, I got knocked around quite a bit, but I had heart. That's about the only thing I had going for me, And so trying to envision myself past that was hard to do. But, and I know you don't like me talking about it, but when I graduated from high school, I was fortunate enough to find you and start training with you, and that's when things started completely changing. And not only just a complete mindset turnaround in terms of how I viewed myself, my own personal confidence, my physical courage and confidence, my mental courage and confidence, and the understanding that if I put my mind to it and I believe that I can do it, then I can do it, and it's because of your training and the positive reinforcement that came from it. You are constantly, giving us that encouragement and everything else throughout, and my buddy and I, Jeffrey Flowers, that also became a Marine, we grew so much through that training, through the attitude change, through the belief and mindset change, and also because it was based on Christian principles.
Tell us a little bit about a day in the life of a Marine in Afghanistan, some of the psychological stress that you go through, the physical demands.
Okay.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah, well, the physical demands is the thing that starts. Your psyche is strong when you first get there. You're not complacent. You're doing everything you're supposed to do. But then the physical starts to wear on you, and the physical wears on you because the enlisted Marines are the real heroes. We're as officers, as servant leaders, we're there to facilitate and help them do their jobs, and we go out and lead them. But they're the real heroes, and they're running 3 patrols, maybe 4 a day, concurrently with planned operations, deliberate operations we call them. 3 patrols a day, 120, 130 degree heat. I know that sounds crazy, but that's how hot it is over there. They're wearing 80 to 120 pounds of body armor and gear every day on patrol. And at least where we were in Sangin, Helmand Province, Afghanistan, IEDs were everywhere, and the Taliban were extremely crafty and extremely smart in how to get in place those. And so every step you took, you had to be watching, you had to be looking. And so the constant stress of searching for those, mixed with small arms attacks, ambushes, IED initiated ambushes, it really started to wear down your mental, over time.
Not to mention the stress of having men under your command. I remember you and I talking about how that every time that y'all went out on a patrol, you would name them to God.
Absolutely.
And so just the responsibility of all of that, and you bringing all those men back by the grace of God.
By the grace of God.
It's just something that's amazing. You did an amazing job. But as great of a job that you did over there and everything, even you, with your mental strength and everything, had to deal with some of the effects of the war.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about when you came back to the United States and what you had to go through.
Well, initially when you come back, at least as a platoon commander, your focus is on the Marines, and it's ironically the same thing that gets you through combat. Fear is displaced on the battlefield because you're focusing on your Marines. You don't want anything to happen to them. You want to accomplish the mission, you don't want anything to happen to them. And it's the same when you come home. You're watching those Marines and you're making sure that, you're watching for those identifying factors to see, hey, there's a problem here. We need to start helping this guy and this and that and the other. But at the same time, yes, there are things that we deal with as well. We don't do a good job of admitting it or talking about it, but we have to come to the reality of the situation. Everybody deals with something. Everybody is affected by all life experiences, in combat definitely. So we all have things that we take away. And so for me, it was, I fell away from the Word for a while. And it was when I got back to the Word and really started delving back in and getting back close with Christ after, I was so close to Him on deployment. When I got home, I kind of got away because of the stress and the different things I was dealing with. The biggest thing I dealt with, even to this day, is anger. you know, a lot of just a bad temper and anger. And so, you know, which you identified when I came home, and we've worked through and through training and everything else, and getting that, you know, kind of put down and getting that kind of getting it out of my life, you know, and so that I don't have that anymore. But, you know, Marines deal with so many things.
You know, statistics show that so many Marines that come back and dealing with this, they have to deal with homelessness in some cases, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, family disruption. There's so many things that they're going through. As a Marine, you think that our program of Purpose Positive can help some of these vets?
Well, you named two big ones there and what they're dealing with, and that's, you know, family problems and alcoholism, and that's two of the most prevalent ones. Drug use is definitely there, but, you know, one of the biggest things with these, when the vets get out, you know, when the Marines, at least I had a few years before, you know, after Afghanistan, my first deployment, before I got out of the Marine Corps, but a lot of these Marines come back from a combat deployment and they go straight into the civilian world, and they're not prepared. And one of the biggest things they're not prepared for is all they know is the military, and they no longer have the military family to hold them up, that network. And that's what they miss more than anything else, is their buddies, the camaraderie. And so with Purpose Positive, you know, in the entire effort behind this and lifting them up and getting them engaged and getting them back, you know, into the swing of things of sorts, you know, it's looking for those other vets that are like-minded and helping them help other vets, because you help somebody else and it helps you so much more. And so, you know, with the whole idea of Purpose Positive, the selfless approach of Purpose Positive and that positive reinforcement and just lifting people up and giving them what they need to push forward, for veterans, it takes that family and that network, that positive family and network of uplifting and encouraging and everything else, because they get to a point in the civilian world where people tell them, well, you can't deal with the civilian world, you can't adjust. Well, that's not true. They can, and they are capable. They just need that support. So
like we said at the beginning, we're not here to debate whether or not the war is just, whether it's right, whether we should be there or not be there. But what we need to remember is there's men just like you that are still on that battlefield. They deserve respect, they deserve honor, they deserve that when they come back, and they need help.
Absolutely.
And that's what we want to do.
Absolutely.
James, you're a real American hero.
How about that?
A person that I really admire.
Hey, well, thanks for everything. Because of you, we were able to do it.
Thank you, bud.
Thank you.
So Rick, I was just impressed and touched by the conversation you just had with James.
Yeah, it was good talking to James. I mean, he's an incredible person, and some of the other young men that had been over in Iraq and Afghanistan that we spoke to, a lot of really good perspective on what they had to go through. The conditions that they operated in were just unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, it's like an inferno. I mean, we complain with air-conditioned houses and cars.
It was just unbelievably hot. The sun is burnt into my memory.
Feel that?
There's nothing you can prepare. I mean, unless you just camp out in an oven.
Yes, that's what I told people. I said, turn your oven to 130 degrees, wait till it's nice and hot, and then just open it and shove your head in the oven. That's what it feels like when you get off the plane.
30-degree heat, carrying backpacks with, you know, more than 100 pounds in them. It's amazing the stamina that these guys show.
The worst thing about, y'all are asking more about the physical demands. I mean, on average, we're carrying what on patrol? I mean, I was carrying about 90 to 100 pounds on patrol, and I was a lieutenant. And I know guys that were carrying what I was carrying, plus 900 or 1,000 rounds of machine gun ammo and everything else. So I mean, how much were y'all?
It depends if you still have the 119s or not.
Oh, yeah.
I carried 2 Fox. That one with Echo 6 with us, I was carrying 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Is that 2 Foxtrots, and then 2 weeks worth of batteries, 2 weeks worth of food, 2 weeks worth of water, 2 weeks worth of clothes.
Operation Up North.
Yep.
Let me get this straight. You just told me you were carrying around 200 pounds.
The whole thing together was
for 2 weeks out?
For 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people that can't squat that much. You shouldn't be surprised when they come back home with the issues that they have with their bodies and things that they go through.
And the stress. I mean, IEDs everywhere, an enemy that is hard to see. I mean, these guys truly are great American heroes, and I mean, we're lucky to have them serve our country.
Absolutely. And what got me is some of those guys were blown up 2-3 times, and they just got up and kept on going.
Just kept coming. So, yeah, we're lucky to have these guys, and it was great talking to them.
They are American heroes.
They are American heroes.
James McKendry was always a man of faith, but hearing him speak of his reliance on God while he was in Afghanistan was nothing short of impressive. I mean, here was a person that had the burden of taking care of all the men in his platoon, and so he lifted their names up to God in prayer every time they would go out on patrol. And experiencing God's protection through many IED attacks and other situations strengthened his faith and also helped lead another young man to Christ.
I was praying, and I grew up in the church, you know, solid foundation and everything, and I was definitely a praying man. I had no idea how much of a praying man I would be, you know, halfway through that deployment, how much that would change. And we had parents made up a list of all the names of everybody in the platoon. You know, when they gave that out to everybody, we had thousands upon thousands of people praying for, by name, every person. We actually had a fire watch set up to where a group of people from a church in Wisconsin would be praying for, you know, our platoon specifically from the hours of 8 to 10. And then from 10 to midnight, a church in Arizona would pick it up. And it was literally like a prayer fire watch, if you will, of sorts, you know. Yeah. But you know, people praying. And so as, you know, we're hitting IEDs, we're finding IEDs, we're getting in firefights. Nobody's getting hit by a bullet. Nobody's taking any shrapnel. I mean, the worst shrapnel wounds we had from any type of armament, other than, of course, concussions and little things here and there, but was RPG shrapnel, but it was minor. I mean,
one of them shot by a BB gun.
Do what?
It looked like he got shot by
right,
a BB gun.
yeah. Well, one of the piece in his arm was decent, but he was like, just pull it out, you know, and then he had a piece in the side that we pulled out and we cauterized with a cigarette. It's a horrible idea, but anyways, you know, the very minor injuries. And finally, I remember September 16th, at one point, one of my lance corporals, Brady Campbell, came up to me and he said, "Hey, sir, I heard the chaplain's coming in this weekend." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, if you don't have a problem with that, I'd like to give my life to Jesus." I was like, "Yeah, I have a problem with that." I was like, "Of course, you know." I said, "I'll let you talk to Chaps when he gets here." And I said, and later, I said, "Why? I mean, what prompted it?" You know, and it was no secret how aware I stood. Would you agree?
No, yeah. Absolutely not.
No. Okay, so, but he said, "If you can provide a better explanation, I'm open to hear it." He said, "But nobody's been hit in a firefight yet. Nobody's taking a shrapnel from an IED. Nobody's, you know, everybody's still here, and we're still doing it." He said, "I have no explanation other than this." And so he gave his life to Christ. Best day, in my opinion, best day of the deployment, you know, September 16th, 2008.
So these veterans, when they come back, a lot of times their parents or their fiancés or their wives, they expect them to be the same person they were when they left. Not always the case because of the things that they see and do while they're overseas. I'm just curious, guys. I mean, so much stuff that you guys went through, and you got blown up 3 times. Is that it? Yeah. So, after you go through all of that, when you come back, how does that work?
It doesn't.
For whatever reason, some gangbanger started shooting off rounds, and this is the middle of the night. I rolled out of my
at the base, or
no, this is just in Albuquerque in the north side. This is weird.
So you lived off base?
Yeah, I lived off base at the time. But I rolled out of my bunk, and I had my vest on, and I bought an AR, and I had my AR ready to go, like that. It was like that's when I realized, you know, I'm kind of impressed still. You know, I'm way too ready for a fight right now.
At night, random person walking by, my hands on grabbing my piece before you can even think about grabbing it. And I won't pull the trigger. I mean, I still possess fire discretion.
Yeah, training is definitely still there, but you're ready for the fight.
And it is real. It is 110% real. When I get put back in any type of similar situation, it's better, way better now. But I built a bunker in my living room in Joshua Tree out of my mattress, a couch, and a coffee table because I thought there was people outside. And I had, you know, my AR, I had an M4, and I'm sitting there waiting for him because I'm like, just come through the door, make it past that door, it's game on. There is no more waiting, you know, I'm not going in the yard because if they do something, I'm going to prison. If they come through that door, it's free game. So I made a bunker in my living room. I made a fighting position in my living room. That's, I didn't think anything was wrong. They didn't. My wife said something was wrong. My father said something was wrong. A few times I saw my mother because I couldn't even look her in the eye anymore. Apparently, I didn't know that. She thought something was wrong, and I was only doing damage to my relationships by pushing people away. even when I stopped drinking, my temper, and it's shorter than one of those little paper fuses on a Black Cat. You're not throwing one of those, you know. There's a reason why you put them on the ground a lot, because you lose a finger. But I look back now after turning around, and I'm good with God now because of this. Because it could have gone, I would not be here right now if it wasn't for him. Because another Marine was involved that had similar problems and took me to where I needed to go instead of where I didn't need to go. And 3 months after getting back out on my feet after turning around, it's even seeing myself and like now realizing where I am and now I'm looking back, that I can't believe that was me. I just can't. And it really, really, really hurt to put my family through that. Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Such great stories, such great guys. I mean, it would be cool, Sasha, if we could do something that would honor them and thank them and jumpstart their purpose positive lifestyle.
Absolutely. So we could get them on stage, talking about everything that we just did, get a great band.
Ben Donnelly Band's a great band.
Ooh, that's an awesome band. Oh, wow.
How about the national anthem?
We could get a current veteran to sing the national anthem to get us started.
Sounds like an event.
It's coming together.
Early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars.
Can you hear the sound of heaven in this place? Hear it all around as the earth resounds in praise. Well, I can hear you calling out to me, and I can feel you reaching out to me. Whoa, yeah, all for you, God will praise you now. Hear the sound of voices crying out, and all across the world we'll stand with hearts as one and bring the praise to you, all the praise to you. In this place, hear it all around as the earth resounds in praise. But I can hear you calling out to me, and I can feel you reaching out to me. Oh, for you, God will praise you now. Hear the sound.
I want to thank everybody for being here today. My name is Rick Short. This is Sasha Acosta, and we are the Purpose Positive team. Our other partner, Brent Longnecker, was not able to come today. He had some surgery yesterday, but we'll be standing in for him.
Yeah.
First thing we'd like to do today is we'd like to thank Frank and all the crew of the VFW. They have been the greatest service and just so nice and blessed to be here, and we really appreciate it a lot. Thanks.
I want to thank you guys for all the work and effort that you put into this, and for bringing these veterans out here to have a celebration.
Good to see you, bud. Yeah, you too. As Sasha and James and I talked and everything, James told us a little bit about some of the soldiers and some of the people that he was associated with in Afghanistan. He talked a little bit about some of the things that they were doing and trying to turn their lives around when they come back. And like we said before, y'all, they do so much for us over there. Sometimes when you come back, the war doesn't just shut off. But these guys are strong individuals.
They're great individuals, and they're doing a lot of really good things. And we have one of those guys with us today also. His name is Blake Wallen. Blake, we'd like you to come up on stage. Good to see you, Blake. Now, as we were talking about Purpose Positive and everything, one of the things that you have to do with Purpose Positive first is rewire your brain to think positive. Man, our society bombards us constantly with negative images, bad things. We want to change the way we think on pure things and just things and things that are good in every way. Put our past behind us as much as we can and then give back. One of the things about Blake has done a lot of good since he's come back. He's struggled with things, but he's taken care of it. And one of the things that he wants to do to give back is start a business that actually employs other veterans. And it's a business that teaches people how to do a lot of the things that soldiers know how to do and Marines know how to do. And that's something that we need in this day and age. And so what our company wants to do to try to help Blake a little bit is we were going to put him with one of the top 25 consultants in the United States, Brent Longnecker. And we're going to let Brent mentor him, help him with his business a little bit, give him some contacts that hopefully he can get this thing off the ground and give a lot of veterans employment and help a lot of us in society. So that's something we want to do for you, Blake. So. Now, James has always had a love of public speaking, and he's done a great job. He speaks to churches, he speaks to other organizations, helps youth groups, dynamic, charismatic speaker and everything. And we also want to offer James something. James was highlighted in our first episode and did a great job in every way. He interviewed some other veterans, did some interviews himself. And what we would like to do for James to help him continue his process of giving back is we would actually like to offer James a job with Purpose Positive. And James, we would like you to be the person that goes around and talks about Purpose Positive to schools, churches, corporations. It'd be an honor if you'd come on board with us, bud.
You bet. Thanks, Frank.
Appreciate it. It's been a blast working with you on the first episode of Purpose Positive.
Absolutely.
You know, Purpose Positive is all about helping people. You know, thinking the way we should think, putting our past behind us and then giving back. And our hope with this show is that if we can show people that just with a few people working together, we can start a whole tsunami of positive activity here in the United States.
I agree, absolutely. And if one person helps one other person, I think we've done our job.
I think you're exactly right. So it's been a pleasure.
Hi, I'm Brent Longnecker. Thank you very much for being with us in this first episode of Purpose Positive. We appreciate each and every one of you being with us and listening to this great story of James, a true war hero. I think that that's the kind of thing that we're looking for as we go forward out there in the United States and look for more stories about Purpose Positive. Yours, ours, everyone's. I think that, again, Purpose Positive is all about rewiring our brains. Every one of us have the things that have hurt us in the past, whether it's the shame, unforgiveness, things that have been said that are negative. And we can't do anything about that, but we can basically say, stop. And then once we stop, we can start to rewiring ourselves backwards to basically where we need to be and where God intended us to be. And the best way to do that is to know that we have all those issues and basically that we can stop and we can start going forward. Secondly, we can do that with a positive attitude. There's no way you saw any of these people that we're talking about Purpose Positive that could do anything they're talking about without a positive attitude. So we need to be able to do that. But I think the most important thing you saw is at the very end when Sasha and Rick were talking, they basically talked about how fun this was, that even if this didn't go anywhere further, that they were able to help out some people. And that's what this is all about, giving back. And I think that that's probably the primary tenet of Purpose Positive that I want everybody to put in their hearts, is the fact that it's so much fun to be able to go out and do stuff for other people. That's what Purpose Positive is all about, is basically taking the science that's out there called neuroplasticity and applying it not just to addicts and to other people that basically they use it for, but for each and every one of us in everyday life. If we can all do that, and again, even the Purpose Positive team, I think that we're going to have a better day tomorrow. So again, I want to say thank you, and I look forward to the second episode. Take care.